All right, so I'm sure that everybody has been seeing the news about these letters that are being sent out to higher education institutions. I used to work in a supervisory capacity within a university that was regionally accredited. And I want to be able to tell you some things about higher education and also get around to this letter as to why this letter is absolutely problematic. So one thing that you need to understand is that there are two different types of accreditations in the United States. One of them is regional, the other one is national. National accreditation tends to accredit degrees that are more so trade-based. National accredited institutions and credits can only be transferred and accepted by other nationally accredited institutions. Okay. For regionally accredited institutions, those are more so for all of the majority of universities that you are familiar with. Those are regionally accredited institutions. Those credits can be transferred by both into both regional and national accredited institutions. Pro tip, you need to have a regionally accredited institution. That is your safest bet when it comes down to higher education. Now, there are also additional accreditations that are assigned to specific skill sets or specific degrees, such as psychology. Psychology and other social sciences of that capacity have a CACREP accreditation. CACREP accreditation goes on top of the regional accreditation. It essentially double accredits this particular program, which is very important, especially by the time you get towards the master's degree and the doctoral degree, anything that's beyond an undergraduate degree. Why is this important? It's because degree requirements are based off of the accrediting requirements. And so they build on top of one another. If you have a regionally accredited bachelor's degree in psychology and you go and you apply for a master's degree in psychology, 9 times out of 10, almost 10 times out of 10, your degree, your bachelor's degree will satisfy the requirements necessary for you to be able to apply and be admitted into that master's degree program. Okay? That's not including any mandatory testing that may be needed for a specific degree, right? But that's why it's important for you to go to regional accreditation 9 times out of 10. If you know somebody that had an accreditation, a degree that was accredited and then lost it, it is because an accreditation for a degree program can last 5, 10 years, etc. It's outlined by the accrediting body, right? They also audit it in order to renew accreditation. When the audit happened, something occurred that was occurring at that university for that specific degree as to why they chose not to reaccredit it. Okay? That's how you end up losing accreditation. It is because those things are audited. Something that you need to understand, the Department of Education at the federal level does not give out accreditation. What they do is they recognize the third parties that accredit universities. The Department of Education does not accredit. These are third-party institutions that are recognized and approved by the Department of Education. This is very important because essentially, when it comes down to auditing, the Department of Education is not a part of that. They have already said that these institutions are able to accredit and they trust their process and they allow them to be able to have that. Now, moving on to these letters. The first letter that Harvard received was actually on the 7th of April. Then they doubled back and sent a letter on the 11th. And kudos to Harvard because they uploaded the 11th letter. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of the stuff that's in it. So it does say that Harvard has in recent years failed to live up to both the intellectual and civil rights conditions that justify federal investment. This is indeed a lie. This is a lie, okay? It says, but we appreciate your expression of commitment to repairing those failures, welcome your collaboration, et cetera, et cetera. And so they're saying that this particular letter circumvents the letter that was sent on April the 3rd. There is a list of, I believe, about 10 demands, if I am not mistaken. And so I will try to quickly go through them and highlight kind of what it is that they're asking for and why it is tomfoolery. And so what we're going to start off with first is governance and leadership reform. This is a very contradictory thing. All of these requests, though, by the way, they're saying needs to be implemented by August 2025. Okay. But this is a very contradictory ask is because they're trying to say, that they need to restructure and allow for clear lines of authority and accountability and empowering tenured professors and senior leadership, while also saying that they need to reduce the power held by faculty, tenured or otherwise, that are committed to activism, period. Okay, that's very problematic. Thing number 2, merit-based hiring reform. It's saying that they have to stop all policies and merit-based hiring that centers around race, color, religion, sex, or national origin throughout its hiring process. This is very problematic because, well, we already have legislation that says that they can't do this anyway. Okay, that would be affirmative action, right? It's because they were utilizing race to keep people out. So affirmative action essentially said, hey, you can't do that. And we understand that there's a lot of people, the Asian dude, that didn't understand what affirmative action really was and how it was helping him, because affirmative action didn't even help black people like it was supposed to. I digress. Anyway, so that's merit-based hiring reform. We run it once again. They said that you could not have any preference based off of national origin. That is very important for you to remember, because the next ask is merit-based admissions reform, which also says that you must adopt and implement merit-based admissions policies and cease, once again, all preferences based on race, color, national origin. Okay. In order for you to be able to have this admissions reform. But then we talk about international admissions reform, right? The last 2 requests essentially says that you cannot utilize someone's nationality against them. But here, they are saying that for international students, you must prevent students hostile to American values and institutions. Why is this very important? It's because he already has a list of countries that he does not want to even enter America, right? And so because they want them to be able to audit all of this and then share everything with the United States government, that is absolutely problematic, and it's also contradictory. Next thing, viewpoint diversity in admissions and hiring. It says that by, once again, August 2025, shall commission an external party which will satisfy the federal government as to its competence and good faith to audit the student body, faculty, staff, and leadership for viewpoint diversity. This already happens with the accrediting body. That accrediting body is a third party that is approved by the federal government. All of this other fluff that they're talking about is absolutely unnecessary, because this accrediting body already does it. It goes department by department. It goes field by field. It goes teaching unit by teaching unit. It has to go through every single degree plan and the actual course descriptions to approve accreditation. So this already happens. All right. The next one, reforming programs with egregious records of anti-Semitism or other biases. Now, the degrees that they put in here and the schools that they list are literally schools of divinity, graduate school of education, school of public health, medical school, religion and public life program, Center for Health and Human Rights, Middle Eastern Studies, Human Rights, and the Harvard Kennedy School, Department of Near Eastern Languages and Culture, and the Harvard Law School. I'm sorry? Says that there has to be an external report. Faculty members who discriminated against Jewish or Israeli students. Who's done that? Once again, there's already been set in place a law for many, many years that you cannot discriminate based off of race, gender, sex, nationality, et cetera, et cetera. And the next one is discontinuation of DEI. This is problematic. Why is it problematic? It's because this could go directly against the requirements for the accrediting body. The accrediting body is a third-party institution. There's no way anybody is going to be listening to this request and therefore have their accreditation yanked. Next, student discipline, reform, and accountability. Okay, there must be immediate intervention and stoppage of disruptions or deplatforming, including the Harvard police when necessary to stop a disruption or deplatforming. Why are you trying to force them to have to implement and utilize the police against the student body? That's crazy. Harvard must adopt a new policy on student groups or clubs that forbids the recognition and funding of provisions or accommodations. Student group or club that endorses, promotes criminal activity, illegal violence, or illegal harassment. Who does that? What student groups do that? That doesn't make any sense. A comprehensive mask ban with serious and immediate penalties for violation, no less than a suspension. What are we talking about? This is so far beyond your scope. Whistleblower reporting and protections. Immediately establish procedures by which Harvard's and affiliates can report noncompliance. What do you mean? Transparency and monitoring. Why would they be having to give this information to the Department of Education when they already have to report all of this stuff to the approved third party? So kudos to Harvard for saying, no, we're not about to buckle like Columbia. Love to see it. What are your thoughts?